Howdy folks, and welcome back to Pool School. Today's episode is specifically for those of you who own a Zodiac Barracuda G3 pool vacuum or are considering purchasing one. The question I'm going to answer is this: why does my pool vacuum, my Zodiac G3, stick to the bottom of the pool? In today's episode, we're going to answer that question for you. Simpler than you think. Alrighty, before we get started, I want to thank you once again for watching this video. Remind you to like it if you do, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, and please share my channel with everyone else you know who owns a pool. Also, don't forget to check out my membership website, poolschooler.com. It'll come right across the screen right here, poolschooler.com. It is full of more members-only exclusive content that will help you save even more money servicing your pool yourself. There are really only two reasons that your Zodiac Barracuda G3 will stick to the bottom of the pool when it's, instead of vacuuming and moving around the pool. The first one has to do with how you set your pool up and how your system is set up, and that would apply to any type of suction side vacuum. The second possibility has to do with the Barracuda G3 itself. So let's go explore first the way you have your pool system set up. Okay, I'm at one of my clients' pools, and as I said before, they have a Zodiac Barracuda G3 vacuum. There it is over on the other side of the pool. Right there. We'll get to that in a second. But again, this first issue, as far as why your vacuum might be sticking to the bottom of your pool and not moving around, can apply to any type of suction style vacuum that is attached to the suction side of your pool. And it's going to happen, if you haven't seen my video on understanding the suction side of your pool, please watch that video. I'll put a link in the description below this video. But this is the suction side of your pool right here, as far as your system. The water goes up through these pipes from the pool into this pipe, into the pump, and then it filters through the pump into the filter, out from the filter, and back to the pool. So this is what we want to work on. This is the area that might be the problem. If you have your suction, so this one has typically suction separated to the skimmer and the vacuum. This is the suction to the skimmer. I know that for a fact because I've already checked it. This is the suction to the vacuum. So skimmer over here, vacuum here, and we've got a majority of the suction to the vacuum, which is normal when you're operating a suction side vacuum, including the G3 or any type of suction side vacuum. However, sometimes if you have this way too far over here and you've closed off way too much of the suction to the skimmer, and you've got so much suction going to the vacuum, it will create so much suction. Not only can it damage the vacuum, but it'll make it stick to the bottom of the pool, okay? The G3, because it has a diaphragm in it, it can actually damage the diaphragm also. So what you want to do is you want to take this back and see if that allows it to free up. And again, because if you turn it too far and you take the suction completely off the vacuum, then you won't have enough suction to cause the diaphragm to pop and utilize the action of it. So you want it just where it starts pulling, and you'll hear the pump start to strain just a little bit. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to turn on and let you listen to what I'm talking about. So I backed it way off. So I'm going to turn the pump on. Okay? And I want you to listen to the pump when it starts to strain a little bit. Hopefully you can hear me. Listen carefully. There it is. Hear that hissing? Hear it changing volume? It's changing its sound. That's telling me I've got too much. Hear that? That's telling me I've got too much suction to the vacuum. So I back it off to where it's best, and then I go observe, and maybe that might do the trick. And again, this works with any suction style vacuum. So check that first. Check your suction first. Okay, the second possibility as to why your pool vacuum, your G3, might stick to the bottom of the pool, like I said, has to do with the vacuum itself. And has to do with what we call the foot pad, okay? If you notice, this right here, this big thing, that's called the blue fin disc. That can get floppy after a while. That usually isn't an issue. That just kind of gets floppy and should be replaced once in a while. But I'll talk about that in a second. But if you look right here, see this blue piece right here, this light blue? We flip it over. That's the foot pad. The foot pad is what the fin disc attaches to, and that foot pad attaches to the vacuum body itself. And what happens is, if you notice right here, I'm going to turn it sideways. You see those bevels? See the gaps? Those little openings, looks like a little tab in there, okay? If those things are worn down over time because of the friction against the bottom of the pool and the sides of the pool, these things start to wear flat. If you notice, these over here are getting a little bit flatter. Notice there's not enough space. There's still enough space, but this is probably going to be due to be replaced. this foot pad in about maybe by the end of this season. But again, these things start to flatten out. What happens is you lose this gap. These gaps right here, those are necessary to create water flow, so it pops and it moves around. Okay, so these parts right here are touching the bottom of the pool, and these are not touching the bottom of the pool, the recessed areas. But when these flatten out, then it becomes one big flat piece of rubber, and it creates a suction. It becomes like a big giant suction cup, and it just sticks to the bottom of the pool. So if that's the case, first of all, take your vacuum out of the pool, check it out, make sure your pump's not running so you don't run your filter dry or your pump dry, and check the bottom of here. If these are very flat, then it might be a good idea to replace this. And I'll put links to these products in the description below this video, including the bluefin disc, because typically when you replace the foot pad, it's a good idea to replace the bluefin disc at the same time. They typically wear out about the same amount of time, even with a PebbleTech pool. People have asked me, what if I have a PebbleTech pool and it creates more friction and more it's rougher and it wears those out faster? I've not known that to be the case. Whether it's plaster or PebbleTech, it wears out about the same rate. So when you replace the foot pad, replace this as well. And I have a video on how to do that, so I'll put a link to that in the description below this video as well. So I wanted to do a quick side clip on a knockoff version of the Zodiac Barracuda G3 vacuum. This is the knockoff, and again, you get what you pay for. I'm not a fan of this. I'm not going to put any links to this one. These knockoffs, they're very cheap. They don't work as well, but the same principles apply. Two principles. Either you got too much suction to the vacuum if it's sticking to the bottom, or the foot pad, the bevels are flattened out and it's creating a suction cup. So same principles, but just a knockoff version of the vacuum. Okay, last add-on to this video, I promise. Sometimes when you have a suction side vacuum and you've converted a pop-up system like this one, if you notice, you see those pop-up heads right there, and and again, I'm not a fan of pop-up systems. You can watch my series on those. I'll put a link in the description below this video so you can see why I don't really care for them. But this Barracuda has been in there for a while. They've had this one for about 5 years now, so it's held up really well. I've had to replace the foot pad and the bluefin disc once on this, and some of the hoses, but that's about it. But when you convert your pop-up system to a suction side vacuum, typically you don't have a dedicated suction line for your vacuum. So what you use is this. This is a Pentair VacMate, and it goes into the skimmer and it adapts the skimmer to a splitter where you have the skimmer still, and then you have that little tube right there, that elbow goes out. That's the vacuum. And again, if you have too much suction in the vacuum in this case, because all the suction in this particular case is going to go to the actual skimmer, because that's the way these pop-up systems are set up. So you can adjust right here. You can decrease the suction to the vacuum, which will increase the suction to the skimmer this way, or you can increase the suction to the vacuum. In this case, this one needs full suction to the vacuum, so that's where I keep it. But again, that's another possibility. If you have a VacMate, you might want to use your adjustment of the suction of the vacuum there and see if that makes a difference and helps it move around. Again, if not, chances are it's your foot pad. So there you have it, folks. That is my video on why your Zodiac Barracuda G3 vacuum might stick to the bottom of the pool and not move around the way it's supposed to. Remember, there are two potential reasons. One is universal, whether you have any, regardless of what type of suction side vacuum you have, and that is adjusting the suction at your system where your filter and pump are to make sure you don't have too much suction to your vacuum, and maybe even too little as well. So you got to play around with that. The second one is, again, you need to replace the foot pad, and at that time, also replace the bluefin disc of your Barracuda G3. Again, this holds true to other types of knockoff Barracuda G3s, but again, check the little gaps in the foot pad. Make sure it's not flat. If it is, it's time to replace that. Hope that made sense. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comment section below this video, or as always, you can email me directly. My email address will come across the bottom of the screen right here. It is kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Once again, kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Again, thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out my membership website, poolschooler.com, for more money-saving, members-only exclusive content to help you save even more money servicing your pool. And until we meet again, remember, have fun, be safe, and always watch those kids and elderly folk and pets around water. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.